Coach, a good start again the other night, but then a little bit of a letdown after Toronto scored their first goal. How do you kind of avoid that, especially when you do get the start that you were looking for?
Well, I think it's certainly a mindset, from a player's perspective that, when the other team is able to get the first goal, even after a great start, you got to continue to push and play. And, we were able to get the first goal in Toronto on Boxing Day and still lost the hockey game. So we've had a tendency this year to fight back and be able to come from behind. Unfortunately, in the last 10 games, our goals for really dipped. I think we've only got 4 goals once in 10 games. So that certainly can be a mindset within the players where you fall behind in terms of that belief of coming back. But from a game perspective, we got the start we wanted the first 15 minutes. We did a lot of the things that we talked about on how to beat the Toronto Marlies. And unfortunately, we came out of that 1-0, but still happy going into that first intermission. But the second period was certainly undoing, and we got a little bit reckless in our play. And we always talk to the players about, aggressive versus reckless. And we want to be an aggressive team, whether it's on the forward check and saving pucks along the walls and those things. But we got a little bit reckless, and unfortunately, the Marlies made us pay. Because they do have a skill set that, one opportunity can be in the back of the net, and they certainly capitalized on a couple of those. Now, we had our own opportunities. At 3-1, you think about the Reinhardt breakaway and a late first period with a Ridly Greig breakaway. So we had our opportunities as well. We couldn't find the back of the net on Wall, and I thought both goalies were very, very good. At the end of the day, we had the chances at 21-20, so it was a very well even played game, and I certainly thought that the first and third period we were the better team. Now, in the third period, when you're up 3, is there a little bit of a letdown? Absolutely. So, unfortunately, a critical 2-point loss, and we got to turn the page pretty quick here.
You mentioned the goaltending. We talked about Matt Sogard after the game the other night. With a young goaltender like that, when he's playing well and the results aren't coming, how do you kind of keep his confidence and mindset on the positive?
Well, his complete focus has to be on stopping the puck, and making that next save. And as good as he was, ultimately we gave out 4 goals and we lost the hockey game. So part of our goaltender's responsibility is to try and keep those goals under 2 or under 3 and win hockey games. But he was certainly our best player and made some key saves along the way, and that's all we asked for, and that's what he, certainly with our offense the way it's at right now, he certainly is going to have to be our best player to try and keep those goals against down. And conversely, we still have to help. We have to be good to defending well and playing well without the puck to try and help him out as well.
Given that, I guess, added importance on goaltending, is it nice to have Justin Peters back in the fold again?
Well, I think so. Anytime, certainly I think the goaltending coach has become, I don't think it's a luxury anymore. It's a necessity in terms of the amount of coaching that goes on individually now. When I first came in the American League, there was no goaltending coach, and you just went on and hoped that the goalie stopped the puck. And now there's a lot of individualistic coaching going on, whether it's forwards, D, and goaltending. And PD's is as good as it gets, in my opinion. So, he'll continue to work with Sogi and Bibeau, and as well as Mando and Flodell.
Chatting with the head coach Troy Mann ahead of this matchup with the Amerks in Rochester. Jared Lukasavich has had another couple points the other night. He seems to kind of go off in bunches. The hat trick a few weeks back, a 2-point night on Wednesday. How do you try to get maybe a little bit more consistency out of a player like that?
Well, I think it's tough for him because most nights he's on the 4th line, and if there's not a lot of penalties or a lot of penalty killing opportunities, then his minutes usually end up between that 10 and 12. And I think we had him at 11 minutes the other night and put him on the second power play because he does have a knack. He goes to the blue paint, so he's not afraid to go to those tough areas. And he's got a lethal shot, as we've seen this year. And the puck seems to find him in that blue paint area. So he works really hard. And, not necessarily he's been a pleasant surprise because anybody can score 10, 11 goals at this level. They've been an effective player. It just so happened that we were able to get him on a PTO, and he continues to be a valuable part of the bottom of our lineup and give us some extra scoring.
Looking at special teams, things have maybe dipped a little bit from where they were, though the power play is back up to 6th. Are there any areas specifically that you'd like to see some improvements on, the penalty kill or the power play?
Well, you're absolutely right, and one of the keys to our game the other night was the special teams, and ultimately we lost the battle. It was 2-2, but they did score a shorty, which is something you can't have. And we had our number one power play unit out there for that shorty, and that was a game changer for us. And obviously we were able to get a goal late, but the game was over at that point. And in the power play, obviously percentage it helps it, but at the same time, that was an area that we lost, and we talked before the game about that. So in terms of our PK, we just got to get our confidence back. I think with Hetherington coming back tonight, I think that will be certainly a help on the back end. And, I think our forwards just got to do a better job of recognizing what the pre-scout is saying and what Ben Sexton is putting forth to them prior to the game. The other night, they scored back-to-back goals in 2 different games with the same play. And that's just lack of execution on our part. And when it comes to the power play, our really number one power play, if you start looking at Thompson out and Lodin, Yerventi, Chartier, and Lucchini, that's pretty good 5 offensive players. So all of a sudden, you've got the Ridley Gregg unit. That's a lot of pressure on them to be really successful on the power play. So, and they got to get the job done. They got to simplify and maybe tone it down a little bit in terms of the ozone play, where they can get more pucks to the net, more simplistic plays than trying to make the high-end play.
You mentioned Hetherington coming back. I was going to ask about reinforcements. So he's on his way back. Anybody else? And I guess what's the plan for him this weekend?
Yeah, Heater wants to play tonight, so we certainly not necessarily gave him the option not to play tonight, but it is a drive from Detroit to Rochester to play, and but he wants to play, and that's the type of player he is, and he only played, I think, 7 or 8 minutes last night, so he shouldn't be too bad in terms of any type of fatigue from his minutes played last night. But obviously he's a big body. He's our captain. He's great on the PK, and we can certainly use any type of reinforcements. But right now, just that's the first domino, and we'll see, over the coming days and weeks if the Sens get healthy, if we get anybody else back. But certainly with their injury situation up there, that's the only guy we're getting right now.
And I guess lastly, how important is this weekend in the grand scheme of things, and what's the game plan and the keys to getting the job done tonight?
Well, I don't think, at game 30 it's critical, but certainly we want to stay in the mix, and this is the first time all year we've been 3 games below 500. We've fallen to, we've hovered around the 500 mark, and we've fallen 2 games under, but never 3. And now, it takes a winning streak to get back to 500. So 2 big games tonight. The division's still very, very tight, and every time you play a divisional opponent, it's a 4-point swing. So, we've had some great battles with Rochester over the last year and a half, and we look at the last time we played them with 3-2, I believe a shootout win. So the games are usually tight, and they're very, very good here at home. So it's going to be a battle tonight, and hopefully we can, salvage a 4-game split over the next 48 hours.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck tonight.
Okay, thanks, Footy.